Welcome to Engineering Influence, the podcast from the American Council of Engineering Companies, coming to you from our 2025 Fall Conference in San Diego. And today is all about inspiration. It's about the soft skills of business, how to be effective leaders, how to grow your businesses, how to be effective not only in the office, but also in life. And we had a fantastic speaker to kick off this session and its theme, Debra Searle. Your story is amazing. You rode alone 111 days open ocean across from Tenerife to Barbados.
Yes. So a small island just off the coast of Africa.
Yeah.
3,375 nautical miles to be precise.
Which was supposed to be a 6-week journey.
Yes.
That turned into a 3-month journey.
Yes. Yeah. So I started the journey with my husband, who was the one that brought all the rowing experience. He's 6'5" international oarsman. And then literally on first night, it became apparent that he had this absolutely crippling phobia in open ocean. And he really started to deteriorate in his health, mentally and physically, actually. And then by the end of the first week, it became apparent that we had to get a rescue team there, a medical team, to help him. And it left me with this dreadful decision, do I get off and go home with him, or do I stay out here on my own? Yeah,
and that decision, I mean, that's... explain that decision, because that's definitely one of those times in life where it's a big decision, where to go forward or to say we can push and wait to the next competition.
It was one of those defining moments in life, one of those decisions where it might change the entire trajectory of your life. And for me, the decision came. There was a number of reasons for carrying on alone. The first was that I absolutely loved it out there.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoyed being at sea. I had the opposite to Andrew's experience. And so that helped because it meant I was more enthusiastic about carrying on. The other reason was that we'd spent the best part of £100,000 doing this.
Yeah.
And if we both got off, they have to set the boat alight and sink it.
Okay.
And whereas if I could get it to the other side, I knew I could ship it back, and then another team could pay us for the boat, and we would recoup some of our costs rather than it going up in smoke. So that was quite a motivator. And the third reason was that there was a team that had approached us who were considering doing it for a future race, and they wanted to do it to raise money for Cancer Research UK. Yeah. As both of my parents had died of cancer, that seemed like a really important thing to get the boat to the other side so they could come back and then do it again for that really important challenge. A
lot of incentive to keep on going. I can say that I have not done what you've done. I've sailed far enough away from land where you don't see it. It's a humbling experience. You explained in your speech about looking up and seeing a container ship not too far away. And you showed a picture. We've also, we're in San Diego. You look out in the dock, you see big ships. It's one thing to see them at dock. It's another thing to see them at waterline.
That's right, because when they're going fast through the water, there's this huge bow wave that's churning off the front. And from my very low vantage point, there was only, a couple of foot off the water. What you see is this big bow wave. Yeah. And that's the first thing. And then this metal monster behind it.
It's attached to an apartment building that's coming to you very quickly.
And it's funny because they still give you the heebie-jeebies now. Yeah. And I was on the hotel balcony yesterday. Yeah. And a big one came in up that channel. And I found myself getting, my heart was racing because they were such a bane of my life when I was out there that I still feel uncomfortable about them.
Because in South Carolina, where I am, there's a major shipping channel where the port of Savannah, and these guys come in constantly. Yeah. And if you're out there fishing or something like that, and you look up and you're like, my God, that is a big ship.
Yeah.
But that's not the only challenge. I mean, it's weather. It is marine life. It is isolation.
Yes.
And dealing with that. And I think that a lot of what you spoke about today was how you kind of channeled a lot of that every day as a decision into how you change the way that you look at the world, and how people can, especially firm leaders, can change their behavior to, make small changes that have a massive impact.
Yeah. Exactly. And it actually is quite a lot of small changes. I mean, I spoke for about 50 minutes on a night, but nearly all of those individual tools and strategies that I suggested that I've taken from my time at sea, that I've adapted to life on land as a leader of a business and as a people manager and someone who has to deal often with clients, they're actually quite small things that once we can start to build them in as habits, then they can work really powerfully. And I think probably what a lot of them do is really they make sure that we show up as the kind of leader that others want to be led by.
Yeah.
Which is a big motivator for me now. I want to make sure that my team or even clients, they want to follow the vision that we're setting. And a lot of that as a leader is really down to how we show up and it becoming much more aware of the fact that we need to be contagiously positive. Mm-hmm. If we want people to follow our vision, if we want our teams to get the best from our teams, then we have to be the kind of leader that is contagiously positive. And actually that positivity was something that we can all improve on. We can always get better at with the right techniques. And that's why I shared so many of those today.
And it is a technique-driven approach because as leaders, you're constantly getting an inflow of demands, challenges, problems.
Yeah.
And
all the problems.
Yeah, all the problems. And you have to take proactive measures to be able to force that positivity out and actually not just reflect that back on the team, not reflect that back on the business. You mentioned a couple of points of the technique, the tactical way of habit stacking, and trying to actually take a if you want to add a good habit, try to stack it on something that you already do, and explain that a little bit and how you approach that.
Yeah, it's not easy as leaders. It's really hard when all the challenges and stresses on you to show up with that kind of positivity. But what we know from social science is that only about 50% of our positivity levels in our brain is genetic. Mm-hmm. Even if you come from a really pessimistic home, there's actually this other 50% that we do something about.
Yeah.
And we know that there are lots of ways that we can do something about that. We can use exercise, that natural endorphin high, getting more sleep. We probably all need more of that. Mindfulness, like the Headspace app or the Calm app, a great 10-minute guided meditations. They don't take long. Acts of kindness, we do something for a colleague or a client, is a win-win on both sides. It gives us that mental uplift. What else can we use? So there's all these different.
Well, music, you have that as a perfect example.
Yeah, music. Just sometimes listen to the right song when you're driving to see a client, and that can really get me in the right frame of mind. Yeah. So it's recognizing that we sometimes have to use something external stimulus.
Yeah. No, you're right, because there's a night, the days blur when you're in a situation like this. But it was, I think, the night before last, and we had some last-minute changes in the evening, and we were huddled together in our staff office with the team, and it was like 11 o'clock at night, and everybody's exhausted. And then somebody put on a YouTube video that was, hilarious, and it was just enough to break that tension and reset our minds and actually leave with a better attitude than we had going into it.
Yeah.
And it's those small little things that can have an unexpected impact.
Yeah. And you asked me the question also about the habit stacking and how I use that to ensure I turn some of those ways that we know boost the brain's positivity into a regular habit. And I love the idea of habit stacking, where you take a habit that's really established, and we've all got lots of those, like we remember to brush our teeth twice a day, to open the curtains, to drink our first coffee. And actually we can do all of those things on autopilot. We don't even have to think about them. Mm-hmm. And so we take one of those that's a very established habit, and we stack on top of it a new habit that we want to make stick. So it reminds us to do it. Mm-hmm. And I gave the example in my speech about how when I brush my teeth at night, because that's one that's on autopilot, I then put my exercise kit by the side of my bed, and I position it so that I've got to stand on it in order to get out of bed in the morning. And I've removed the friction then that stops me from giving that excuse of,
it's just the challenge of not stepping over the bag or kicking it to the side, which is the and that's.
But I noticed actually I did start to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
And when I analyzed why did that habit stack not work, when the kit was there, why did I not exercise? And I know I need to exercise because I show up completely different personal work if I do. I've got more energy. I'm now optimistic. I deal with challenges better. I'm probably a nicer leader to work with, just because I'm happier. But the days I didn't, when I noticed the pattern was always I'd either work too late, which I think a lot of leaders are, have that issue. And then I scrolled too late on social media in bed. So I had to put a new habit stack in place to get the exercise when I'm working, which is I've got an alert that goes off from my phone. It goes off every night at exactly the same time. And it says, bedtime, Debra, and I don't do one more job, go Ryan. And the rule is when the alert goes off, I have to plug my phone in the kitchen to charge rather than taking it to the bedroom. And actually, I think that habit stack has had a really profound impact on my sleep, on my mental health, on so many things. And it's meant that I then do get up and exercise and use the kit despite the bed.
The good thing about technology is it kind of helps you because, like, the rings, like I have one of those Aura rings that has and it will tell you, hey, it's time, you set it up, and it'll give you that text reminder saying it's time to wind down. And if you can attach a habit to that, and it's that reminder of saying, okay, now's the time to change this behavior.
Yes.
Because you're right. Because if you don't do this, then you come home and to your point, you're so consumed with the day, you're so consumed with all these things that generally you don't come home and give the best after you come back.
I mean, that's for me. And maybe that's not everyone, but I think we either burn out or we take it out on employees, which is never a good thing. Or we get home from work and our families get the worst of us because we've got nothing left to give. So we have to, as leaders, I believe, find ways to expand our ability to tolerate the challenges, to build that kind of resilience reservoir. And that's often around managing our workflow. I think we take on a lot. And it's so hard to say no, but actually we can't be effective in our leadership
if you say yes to everything.
Saying yes to other things.
You also had a good point of saying, leaders speak last in your presentation, and that there's that idea of authority bias going in, that if you say, hey, this is what I want to do, what do you guys think? Immediately you're going to get the wrong, or you're not going to get what you need.
Because they're not going to say, well, that's a rubbish idea, because you're the boss. So we don't have the monopoly on good ideas. We have to, as a leader, utilize that diversity of thoughts that our colleagues have, because they might have done a different project to us, or have different industry background, or come from a different diversity trait, or they've gone to a different university. So they have a way of viewing things that, from our privileged position as the leader, we can't always see because of where we sit in the organization. And when leaders speak last in meetings, we're able to hear that diversity of thought, hear those ideas come forward. If we speak first, it's very hard for them, particularly more junior employees, to speak up and share their ideas, or to say your idea is rubbish. Not that they would say it that way, but even if they think it is, if we allow them to say their ideas first, we're far more likely to utilize that diversity of thought.
Then also to make sure that you actually are proactive in sending out and trying to get positive messages sent out on a regular basis, either through email, text, WhatsApp, what have you. Because you've seen there is a statistical increase in productivity once that happens.
There's no doubt about it that there is a direct correlation between how positive I am as a leader and how productive my team are. The evidence shows that if we can give these kind of free words, this encouragement, then productivity can increase by 31% amongst teams. I think as a leader, the temptation is always to think, I haven't got time to give that bit of feedback, to give that encouragement, to send that nice message to someone. We can't afford not to, though. If it's going to increase productivity by 31%, then giving that bit of encouraging free feedback, and it needn't be onerous. The study that I referenced, it said it only had to be one line long if you're sending an email or text messages to either thank, praise, encourage, or ask to collaborate. And it starts this feedback loop. It has a conversation element to it that has the chance to go somewhere. And that's when we find solutions faster, because we're throwing it out there as an opportunity to be more collaborative. And we've got to utilize that almost like our most valuable leadership tool, because it costs nothing. And we just don't use it enough because we're so busy.
Exactly. And we can't lose sight of that. So you have still a lot going on. I mean, beyond the rowing challenge, you have a lot of different enterprises you're working on. There's a film in production about the race. What where is that right now in the production scheme?
Well, I think COVID kind of tipped the cart.
Did that to everything.
It did that for everyone, but it meant that particularly Hollywood, they really everything kind of stopped there. So I think really things are only just starting to pick. Everything's slowly stirring up. So
we'll keep an eye out, and then if anyone else wants to get more information about your leadership style and is looking to energize their teams, where should they go?
My website, debrasearle.com. We've launched the Debra Searle Academy in the last few years, where we're really looking to break this down into very practical steps for leaders and for their teams, really. And so we've launched courses on that now. We've got one called the Results Accelerator, which is really about helping people to diagnose what should they actually be working on, and actually what are the limiting beliefs that might be stopping them, and how do we utilize what we know about science, neuroscience in particular, positive psychology, to ensure we're really hitting these goals. And so we've got some online courses for people, some books, and so it's all at debrasearle.com.
Fantastic. I do have to ask before we go, you showed the picture, and I know that you're both an OBE and also order of a Royal Victorian Order.
Yeah. Yes, which doesn't mean a lot to Americans.
I know. Explain that a little bit. I follow this stuff, so I kind of have an idea of what it is. But for anyone else out there,
it was a real honor and a surprise that there's it used to always be in the Queen's birthday honors, and that the Queen chose to honor some people with these awards. A member of the British Empire is an award I got for my kind of services to exploration. To Buckingham Palace, the Queen presented me with this award, which was a real honor. But I also worked with the royal family for 10 years on the board of a charity that they run. And that was when I finished that role, they also gave me the MVO, which was member of the Victorian Order. And that's a service to the royal family award, which was a real honor to get as well.
It must be. So congratulations on both of those things.
Thank you.
You're the second OBE I've interviewed.
Really?
Yeah, but yes.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you taking the time after your presentation to join us on the podcast. And I encourage anybody out there who does want to energize their team and become a more effective leader to visit debrasearle.com. And thank you for joining us. This has been Engineering Influence podcast from the American Council of Engineering Companies, and we will see you next time.